So I would read a lot of, Zen Buddhism and a lot of Hindu, a lot of Daoist teachings. And what I would come across are these proverbs that were really these just great big paradox. Like one of them would be, if you want to shrink something, let it expand.
Mm.
If you want to get rid of something, let it flourish. And to the rational mind, to the ego mind, you're like, that doesn't make any sense. But then I was like, okay, let me take that and let me apply it to my OCD, to my, looping thoughts, to my anxiety. And it was like, okay, if I want to get rid of you, let me let you flourish. So I would tell these parts of myself, go play, go run around. It's almost like a puppy in the park. I'm going to sit on the bench and watch. You just go do whatever you want to do. And all of a sudden the mind goes silent. Right? And then I would be like, okay, if I want to shrink these thoughts or shrink these emotions, what if I let them expand? So I would tell these thoughts and emotions, go expand, go flourish, go do whatever you want. I'm just going to sit here and just ride the wave. And all of a sudden the mind goes still. So I was like, wow, that's so interesting. The more space you give it, the less space it takes. The more you try and control it, the more it controls you. So I started to realize that a lot of these spiritual teachings, whether you believe in God or not, it doesn't really matter. There's still truth in here, that it all resided within one big paradox. And that really taught me how the mind works. And in reality, the mind is just the flow of energy and information. And what happens is with trauma is we try and categorize, this is good energy and information, this is bad energy and information. And all of a sudden, the flow of energy information is like the flow of the waves or the tide in the ocean. And someone trying to avoid trauma or having anxiety or OCD, they're trying to swim against the tide all the time. But these truths, these paradox and this surrender and this climbing up to the lifeguard tower and witnessing and observing and stepping into your vulnerability is learning how to ride the wave. And a lot of the fear of the ego is, where is that tide going to take me? What if it takes me somewhere I don't want to go? But in reality, it's taking you back home.
That's fantastic. Well, what's coming up for me is the law of impermanence, right? Is that for us to recall, as you mentioned earlier, that all this too shall pass, right? That famous saying, this too shall pass, that everything comes and goes. And even if it's a good thing, it's not going to last forever, but that's okay, because when the time that it's a bad thing, you're going to want it to go away. But perhaps we can keep that in mind as well as we just kind of ride that wave.